Good evening. It's Graham Healy from Rise Up Australia, Brisbane 2025, and it's Tuesday, the 21st of October. And I just want to give a quick report on Albanese and Rudd's meeting with Donald Trump. And in the background, you'll see this is on my website where I've got Albanese as toast. And of course, he's wrapped in the Palestine liberation garb. And I'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. Okay, the greatest gold moment was Trump's takedown of Kevin Rudd. And this is what happens when you have, Rudd called Trump the village idiot and all this sort of stuff. I mean, Rudd's a complete moron. Unfortunately, I did know Rudd personally before he was Prime Minister. Seemed not a bad guy back then, but I didn't realise he was such a fool. And so Trump's a very smart man in such that he already knows the full background of Rudd and Albanese. He knows Albanese is a communist. He knows Albanese is basically a pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. I won't say a socialist. I'd say a communist. He knows that Albanese is as weak as the proverbial water, and that Trump's main agenda was to sign up the deal on the AUKUS, or that's US AUKUS nuclear submarine deal, which of course is making America great again and putting Australia further in debt. And then of course the rare earth agreement, so that the USA hasn't got that dependence on China like we have. So the reason why Trump was cordial to Albanese is he was buttering him up, obviously. Any fool can see that. And then he'll hand Albanese over to his team in the Department of War and what have you. So they will sort him out regarding global security, because Albanese is a complete fool. As a matter of fact, I've been on the record several times to say that he's a complete village idiot. And the reason is that he's got no idea what he's doing. He's completely wrecking Australia, going down the lines of net zero and all these other scams. So you think about it. Irrespective, you can have a little cordial meeting while you sign agreements that primarily are through the advantage of President Trump, and, good on him. I mean, he's a businessman at the end of the day, and he's sovereignising the USA and making it independent of communist China. Whereas Australia, under Albanese communist government, is doing the exact opposite. So Trump knows that. He knows Albo's a complete idiot. So sign the documents first and hand Albanese over to his Department of War, where they'll lock him in the room and grill him about the recognising Palestine so-called agreement and what Albanese did to facilitate Hamas murdering more people. This is a no-brainer, but what do you expect from little Albo? That only 30% of Australians voted for him. And okay, we all know that. So at the end of the day, be rest assured Donald Trump knows what Albanese is all about. And absolute gold, 10 out of 10 for Trump to call out Kevin Rudd, you sleazy little piece of work, that whatever you say, see, the rule of thumb is this: whatever you say in the back rooms, whatever you say on social media will come back to bite you. So, I've supported Donald Trump, ever since he was in business, actually, and basically have seen he will visit Australia, but he won't be visiting Australia under a communist government or a socialist government. He'll come out here when we have a decent conservative government, or the mixed government, which I'm seeing down the track not too far. tick in the box. Okay, Albanese, for those two deals, which were all about America actually winning. It was a win for America more than anything. I mean, not a win so much for Australia because, we've signed up to these huge debt regarding nuclear submarines. So where's the money coming from that? Question mark. And then regarding the rare earth deals and what royalties is the Australian government getting out of mining? None that I know of. So it's not a good deal for Australia, although I agree with certainly the military aspect of the AUKUS agreement that's got to go ahead. But regarding the economy of Australia, it's in tatters. Trump knows that. He knows that we've got Albanese, as I said before, is a communist, and also he's supporting Hamas through what he's done by recognising Palestine, which has never been a country in a million years. So, just a complete idiot would do that. But all those characters, Albanese, Keir Starmer in the UK, which is Albanese's twin brother, Macron in France, and Carney, that's right, Carney, the bank manager that's been put into Canada by the globalists. So, they will fall like dominoes. So, I'll just Albanese is toast. As far as I'm concerned, as far as most Australians concerned, he's a terrorist supporter. And he's, by their fruit, you will know them. And I'll just go to a couple of things and finish off this broadcast. And I'm just going on the Rise Up Australia Brisbane 2025 website. You'll see here I've got my prediction, of course, is Jacinta Price will be the future Prime Minister of Australia. And I'm going to go through a couple of things here while we're live on my broadcast. There's my friend Pat Massetti and Brian Tamaki. You've got to get on the website and have a look at the videos and what have you. And Dylan Oakley, Charlie Kirk, I call him Saint Charlie Kirk. Tommy Robinson, interviewing Amar Ohana, I think it is, regarding the terrorism threat. That Israel is the only country holding back the terrorists, believe it or not. Also, there's a movie that I'm promoting at Riverview Church, and that's all about the Dragon Prophecy by Jonathan Kahn. You can have a look at that. You can actually get tickets, free tickets, by the way, to the Dragon Prophecy. Albanese's toast here. I've got more articles on the Dragon Prophecy. Now, this is a very good one by Dennis Prager. Judeo and Christianity are the only two religions that have the same sacred text. So, at the end of the day, you have a look. Forget the personalities regarding Donald Trump, and I'm a Donald Trump fan. Forget the personalities. Just have a look at what the principles are. Does Albanese have Judeo-Christian principles? The answer is no. Does the Labor Party have anything to do with Judeo-Christian principles? And again, the answer is absolutely the opposite. So when you're looking at politicians and policies, you've got to look at what their belief system. Does the radical Muslim groups such as Hamas and all the rest of them, that Hamas controls Palestine, do they have anything in common with Judeo-Christian values? That's an interesting question. At the end of the day, all that Hamas wants to do is eliminate Israel. All that terrorist groups want to do around Israel is eliminate them. And that's, when they rave on about genocide with these idiotic Free Palestine pro-Hamas groups marching around Australia, which should be banned in Australia. That's the long and short of it. But we've had these weak-gutted politicians, including the Liberals, that haven't stood up against it and enforced the law of the country, that if you burn the Australian flag, if you're promoting terrorism via Free Palestine, all the other proxies that Hamas use and all the other terrorist groups, they're very good at propaganda. And I won't go into this in great detail, but look what Hitler did in World War II when he started eliminating the Jews. Now, remember, October 7, 2023 was the greatest slaughtering of Jews since the Holocaust. I'll just repeat that again. October 7, 2023, the 1,200 Jews that were slaughtered plus the 250 hostages, that was the greatest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Let that sink in. And have a look, even in Australia, the Jewish sentiment, all from Muslim-backed pro-terrorists in Australia, which have been allowed, that are connected to the Muslim Brotherhood and all this, have been allowed to come into this country mainly by the Greens and the Labor government. This is Albanese. This is what Donald Trump knows about Albanese. So when he hands Albanese over to the Department of War in the USA, man, I reckon they'll lock the room and grill him. So he's got to be removed. Albanese's got to go. All these demonstrations in the US about Trump not a king, the Democrats are totally demonized. And so all this BS they carry on about, it just simply means that they're totally demonized. Donald Trump's an elected president by a vast majority. So you just go figure that. See, the left doesn't think logically. The left does everything by emotional rhetoric, and the people that get tied in with the left, you really can't hold an argument. They can't hold an argument in any way or shape or form, and they turn to violence. I mean, look what happened in Melbourne. The pro-patriotic Australian march, and who's throwing rocks at the police and everything. It's the extreme left. And at least the police commissioner down in Melbourne called it out this time for what it really is. Thank God for that at long last. But of course, you've got communist governments in control in Melbourne as well. So you go on to here, and this particular report with Chris Kenny, very, very important to go onto my website and actually have a look at this. It's probably one of the best reports I've seen Chris Kenny do. And it's all about, the Middle Eastern situation now. Chris Kenny has actually reported that right on the button. So, okay, we have a look at here. We've got the Spirit of the Light Horse Brigade. Now, this is what I feel in my spirit that, see, I'll just flick on this. I'll click on this, so we'll click it up and we'll just have a look at it. We'll just have a look at this very, very carefully. The Light Horse Brigade, they liberated Gaza. Beersheba in 1917, I think, World War One. The Australian Anzacs, the Light Horse Brigade, which was founded in Queensland, liberated the Jews in the Battle of Beersheba. Now, you go onto this particular page and you read about it and check the background to it. And I'm saying, this is where I'm focusing on at the moment. What I'm saying is this, that Australia and Israel is like Israel and the USA. That's why Trump's so strong and consolidated with Israel, military-wise and ethically, because Israel is Judeo-Christian. If you're a Judeo-Christian, then you must bless Israel. It's just biblical, right? And Israel is our friend and ally in war and everything. So this is a very strong relationship, and it reminds me that the Australian Anzacs liberated Israel 1917, and the same spirit of the Light Horse Brigade will liberate Australia from this communist regime that we've got running the show at the moment, and the pro-Hamas marches and all this other rubbish, absolute crap, I will call it, that's going on in the streets of Australia and has continued on the last couple of years, has to be put ground to a halt. It has to be made illegal in this country. It's nothing to do with democracy. It's all about the propaganda machine used by the terrorists, basically, unfortunately. So I'll leave the broadcast on that. Remember, this is where we're heading. This is where we're heading. The spirit of the Light Horse Brigade will liberate Australia. And who is the spirit of the Light Horse Brigade? Of course, that's the Holy Spirit. And remember the prophecies over Australia by the famous evangelist from the UK, Smith Wigglesworth, and that was Australia would be the start of the great outpouring of the Holy Ghost. So you see the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. He was a martyr, only 32. I think he was 32. Like Jesus was 33. Many of the apostles were around about that age when they were martyred. So Charlie Kirk's a modern day martyr. There's no question about that. And out of his martyrdom, as sad as that was, it started a movement. It started a movement that has gone worldwide. I believe it's part of the great end time revival. And the Spirit of the Light Horse Brigade in Australia will rise up. I believe it'll be in Queensland. This is where it'll start, because this is where the Light Horse Brigade did start. And by the way, the artist here that did these drawings, I've got authorised printed copies. Go onto my website and you will see, I've got a video here, but let me just go to the home page and make certain you support one of Australia's great artists. Just one moment. We'll go down to the page here. I'm just getting down there. If you want to get the free tickets to the Dragon Prophecy movie night on the 8th of November, here it is here, register now on the events page. And when we get down to here we go. Now, the artist is Ian Coate, IANCOATE. His website's here. Please support him. He's a former military man in Western Australia, and he was the official artist of the SAS. And the SAS Major in Western Australia, of course, will be the future leader of the Reformed Liberal Party, being Major Andrew Hastie. Believe you me, he's the man to lead the Liberal Party in Australia. And of course, Jacinta Price, I believe, will be the Prime Minister. What could be better than having an Aboriginal woman as a Prime Minister? And that would shut the left up totally. And you'll notice now that you have a strong Japanese Prime Minister who's female Prime Minister. You have a strong female Italian Prime Minister, and both these Prime Ministers are going very hard on anything to do with terrorism from the Muslim Brotherhood, from Hamas. They'll just deport them immediately. Don't care how long you've been in the country. You start broadcasting hatred and terrorism from Australia or any other country, and you're gone. So, every other, just in passing, I'll finish off with this. Every other country, including Arab countries, have banned the Muslim Brotherhood except Australia. You think about that. Muslim Brotherhood, terrorist organisation, not banned in Australia. But in the Arab states, all around the Middle East, they're banned. They don't want them. They know what they're all about. But Australia, we got them here. We got the connections here. We got Albanese and his mob bringing people from Gaza. Well, refugees are they? No security checks, all connected with Hamas, because Hamas rules Gaza. Very, very, it's a terrible web that we're infecting this country with now. I'm not talking about all Muslim people, by the way. I've spoken to a lot of good Muslim people in this country who put Australia first, but I'm talking about those who have connections with the terrorist organisation. And in Australia, there's plenty of them. And forget about the federal police keeping a check on everyone. I mean, that's just absolute insanity. You just got to deport them. And anyone like in Sydney recently, where they were basically talking terrorism publicly and, celebrating the slaughtering of Jews on the 7th of October as a victory. This is open and publicly in Australia, near around about the Sydney Opera House. Any one of these people that spoke out about that publicly should be immediately deported back to Gaza or wherever the hell they come from. This is the trouble in Australia. You've infected this country with a cancer that is growing rapidly, and there's only one treatment for cancer that I know of, and that's radium treatment. Well, there are other treatments, but in this case, we've got to hit it with the radium. That means deportation. And we don't want to import crime. We don't want people running around with machetes everywhere and the idiot in charge of the Premier or in Victoria. We'll put all these bins out for for the criminals to throw their guns and everything in the bins. I mean, isn't that? It's typical lefty insanity, actually, just in crazy. We've got to restore law and order back in this country. We've got to restore the Judeo-Christian principles. And just as the great apostle, who I call the Jahu of the modern day, Brian Tamaki from New Zealand, who, I've met Brian, I know Brian. He's been invited out to Australia with Dylan Oakley, and his son Samuel Tamaki is here in the Gold Coast. As Brian Tamaki rightly says, that our countries, both New Zealand and Australia, the ANZUS Pact, is basically a Judeo-Christian country. And when we were Judeo-Christian, primarily, we were prosperous. All right? Now, that's not saying that we're not a multicultural country. Yeah, we are a multicultural country, but I'll just leave it on this. Lately I've been in a couple of Uber cabs. Every time I get into the Uber cab, here's 3 examples. One, the last Uber cab I got into, there was a guy from Iran. There you go. The second one was from not Ethiopia, but Sudan. The third one was from not Iran, Pakistan. Right. All 3 of these people gave me a great insight into their countries and what's going on in their countries, right? The guy from Iran said to me he'd been in Australia, his kids are here and all this. I think he's a Shiite Muslim, right? I think the Sunni Muslims, I could be right or wrong on this, but I think the Sunnis are all the radicals. The Shiite, sounds like a Shiite Muslims are the ones without the beards. They're what you call moderate Muslims, if there is a term, the people who are not advocating violence, right? So he said to me that I asked him, what about these Free Palestine marches? And he said to me, you know what, Mr. Healy, he said, anyone who disrespects the flag of Australia should be deported. Boom, boom. We knuckled together I said, welcome to Australia, mate. And he said, I brought my family to Australia for a future where they didn't have in Iran because the Ayatollahs took over there, and of course they kill everyone, and all those people who don't do exactly what they say, they behead them and all this sort of stuff. So they're very violent. The Western people don't understand that, especially all the LBGD agenda people. They got no idea what it's like. If they go over to the Middle East, they would get the head chopped straight away. So, or worse, they can do things worse, believe you me. So he basically said, I asked him about the flag burning and all the rest of it, and he said, Mr. Healy, he said, I've been in Australia, I think it was like 16 years or something. He said, I've never been on any of those marches. He said, I'm not interested. As far as I'm concerned, he said, that anyone who disrespects a country that they're living in should be deported. That's your answer. A very, very, the people who respect the constitution of the country and the flag of Australia remain in Australia. That's when you do your citizenship, you take your allegiances. But just recently, in these recent, patriotic marches and what have you, seen people there burning the flag of Australia and all this, that should be an indictable offence, just like it is in the US now. 12 months jail and maybe $10,000 or $15,000 fine. So these sort of things have got to be brought back in order. And this is where we're really at in Australia at the moment now. Old Rudd the Dud got what he deserved, and old Albo, he's not going to last long, Albo, and the reason I say that is I've predicted he'll be removed from Parliament, in a double dissolution and a referendum on free speech. I thought next month, well, it may be. But the reason is his core principles don't align with the USA. Doesn't matter how many golf tournaments that Trump turns up over here. The bottom line is he's dealing with a communist, and his Department of War, they're also dealing with someone who's doing the diametrically opposite of what the policies are on the most powerful country in the world, which of course is USA. So yeah, have a look at what Albanese's policies are. Number one, his for instance, not the self-defense, but the defense mechanisms there, but the business and the moral principles are not there. So, Albanese's on the woke agenda, and Donald Trump's on the pro-American agenda. Until Australia gets our right leaders in place, be it Andrew Hastie and also Jacinta Price and, the ones that I've got listed on the website. When that happens, you'll find that there'll be a whole different attitude in the relationship between Australia and the USA. Okay, that's Graham Healy, Rise Up Australia, Brisbane, 2025. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and we will report back very soon. That's over and out. Thank you very much for listening.